How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be going over a few tips on how to use a longsword in Blade Sorcery. So before I start going over the tips in this video, I just want to clarify, I am no master. I've taken no HEMA classes. Just to get that out of the way before everyone starts commenting, this is just a tips video on how to play Blade in Sorcery, not on how to use a sword in real life. When you're using a longsword, you want to focus on your footwork in real life, and you want to have enough room to be able to move. So, say if I take this strike here, I want to be able to move with that strike. If you don't have enough room and you're not able to move around as much, it's not that big of a deal. If you're trying to record for clips or something like that, then it may be a little bit more of a problem. It just won't look as realistic or as good. It's not that big of a deal if you're just trying to play the game. So in real life, you're going to take a step with your right foot and strike, and then take a step with your left foot and strike. So all that's doing is getting you used to moving into that strike. So instead of using the thumbstick, you're moving in real life. It looks a lot better, and I mean, it's a lot more effective. You're in a lot more control when you're moving in real life rather than the thumbstick. If you're moving in real life, you can get a lot better movement and control with your strikes. A lot of using a longsword is using your wrists. You're not so much using your arms, you're using your wrists. So if you want, you take up this position. And okay, so another tip is you always want to be hitting with the end of your blade. You never want to strike and end up hitting them with the middle of your blade. You always want to hit with the end so you can follow through with your strikes. See how it's very easy to follow through if I'm keeping him in this range where when I do strike, only the tip of the sword is striking him. It's different if you have a claymore because you have a lot more weight and force behind the sword. But with a longsword, you're really just trying to hit them with the tip. So, super easy and super clean because I only use the tip of the sword. Another thing is take your time and don't be afraid to go into slow motion to really practice using your wrists, being able to keep them in the zone where you can just strike with the tip of your sword. And then once you're ready, you can come out of slow motion and start speeding things up. You also don't always have to practice on an AI. You can come to a pillar like this, say something you can move around. So if you situate yourself, so if you can move around your room, this is a whole lot better and a whole lot more efficient. But if you're using the thumbstick, it's also a good way to get used to the thumbstick. Come to something where you can kind of circle around it. You want to practice moving around the object. I don't have as much room right now, so it's not as good. But if you guys have, say, you have no limits on the space, this is perfect because you can circle this whole thing, practicing using your wrists, getting it nice and smooth because it is very hard to get your wrists in the right spot in real life. And this is just good practice because if you're practicing against an AI, they're moving around and they're spazzing all out and trying to smack you. It's way easier to just come up and you're just trying to make those strikes smooth because it's super easy for the sword to go all weird. And this is just to get a nice grip and develop that control over the sword. Like I said, this is not for real life. Swords feel a lot different in real life, and it's a lot harder to control two controllers gripping a sword than it is to actually hold one in real life. So another important thing that you want to mess around with, and this is different for everyone, everyone has their different preferences, is the rotation springs and the dampeners. So one thing I do suggest you do though is turn the rotation mode from soft to rigid. It makes everything a whole lot more responsive Now, these are the most important options that we have here. So the easiest way I can describe the position spring multipliers and dampeners, basically with the spring multipliers, the higher the value, the more accurate your hand in game will be to real life when you're holding a sword. You can describe it as swinging underwater. So the lower the value, as a general suggestion, I would up the spring multipliers a little bit and lower the dampeners a little bit. You could follow my settings here if you wanted to. They're probably not the best. And again, this is all up to you. Whatever feels best for you is what you should use. Also, kind of a small one is self collision. If you like self collision, you can turn it on. Personally, for me, when I'm recording videos, I turn it off because I find it gets in the way of the pommel, and you don't have a tracker tracking your body, so it's super hard to tell where your body actually is when you're not looking at it.
Hey, what's up everyone? I hope you guys enjoyed this different type of video. There's a ton of stuff that I didn't get to cover in this video. I didn't really want to make it that long. But if there's enough support for this type of new content on my channel, then I'm more than willing to do part 2. So I hope you guys take care. See you later.